Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Newcastle upon Tyne Unitarians this first Sunday in August. Before we start, I'm going to open with our value statement. Here at Newcastle Unitarians, we welcome all who seek the meaning of life and who believe that human spirituality is wider than any one tradition and deeper than any one set of opinions. With a respect for our Christian origins, we seek to explore all truths from all sources. Our fellowship gives us strength and encouragement in daily living. Okay, today's service is another by Jean. Jean has very kindly agreed to lead worship for us today. So in a similar format to last month's poetry discussion session, we're now going to have one discussing parable. Is that right?
That's right.
Brilliant. Right, I'll hand over to Jean now. Thank you very much, Jean. Did you want me to light the chalice?
Yeah. So do you have to say anything when you light it?
I should have done it with the words.
Well, I'll light it, you say the words.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait a minute, I think the wick's a bit funny. Oh, well, let's see if it lights.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right. With this flame, let the warmth and sense of hope permeate not just this hour, but the week to come. So be it.
Thank you. Hi, as you know, my name's Jean Monaghan, and I'm going to start this session actually with a minute's silence, if that's okay. I'm a Quaker attender, not a member, but if you know anything about Quakers, it's basically silence unless people feel led to say something. So if we could just have a minute's silence, eyes open or closed, it's up to you. Thank you. Now, I introduced myself last time via 4 labels. I wonder if any of you can remember what those labels were. Don't worry if you, it's not a test. Yes, ex-primary teacher, that's one. The first one was really important to me. The most important thing in my life. Mother, thank you. Thank you, Diana. Well, the other 2 were sister and friend. So, I'm going to share a tiny little bit more about myself, just via 4 easy labels. I'm a deconstructionalist Christian. I've been an evangelical, rabid Christian for years, and for the last 15, 16, 17 years, I'm no longer that. I'm deconstructing whatever it is I held dear, and I did hold it very dear, and I'm reconstructing. I'm also very passionate about social justice, as I assume most of you here, or all of you are. I'm a reader. I love reading all sorts of stuff. And I'm a poetry lover. I've had a nice conversation with Norman this morning, and he's going to send me 3 of his wonderful Christmas poems, which he's already recited to me. And I love all sorts of poetry, but mainly contemporary stuff. Now today, as it was last time, it's interactive and participatory, and I'm really sorry about that. Well, I'm not. I was going to say I'm sorry, but I'm not, because this is the way I learn. Not by somebody preaching at me, not by somebody telling me what to think, but by opening up via various means my own thoughts, experiences, knowledge, understanding, and that's what I hope we'll all do today together. Now, I've done 2 parables, the woman caught in adultery and the prodigal son. And today I'm going to do the Good Samaritan. So what I'm going to do is just read the parable first from Luke 10. Then I'm going to explain what we're going to do. Then I'm going to read it again. And then we're going to work together in pairs. And then I'm going to ask a few simple questions. No, I'm going to do a hot seating exercise. That's me in my character, whatever that is. And I'm going to choose someone to also be in character. We're going to sit here, and the rest of you can fire away any questions you like about the story, and we'll answer in our character. And then I'm going to give you a few questions, just simple ones, and then I'm going to contemporise the story. Now, I've given you a lot of information there. So let's just get on with it. Luke 10, and I need these, I'm afraid, because I can't see and I can't hear. I'm really getting old. So if you want to shout obscenities, I probably won't hear them. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" Jesus replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbour as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbour?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he travelled, came where the man was. And when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have." Which of these 3 men do you think was a neighbour to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." Now, in a moment or two, I'm going to read that again. So I'll just give you a brief explanation. You are now no longer who you are. You're not in the 21st century. You're going to be in the 1st century in Palestine. And I'm going to give you a character from that story. And when I read it again, I want you to forget everything about who you are, all your knowledge, all your understanding of the 21st century, and I want you to be a person from this story. And what I want you to do, as I'm reading it, is completely immerse yourself in that character. What that character is doing, saying, being. Because when you're going to work in pairs afterwards, you're going to share your experiences together. And I'd make a bid, please don't work with the person you worked with the last time, if you can work with somebody completely different, because this opens up new levels of communication. And it's a really intriguing way of becoming someone else for a short period that you've perhaps never even thought of before. It's like walking in someone else's shoes, but it's with a 1st century focus. So, I would like you, if you don't mind, to be the traveller from Jerusalem to Jericho. I'd like the lady behind, I'm sorry, I can't remember names, to be the priest in the story. I'd like Louise to be the scribe in the story. Sorry, I don't know your name. Brian, I'd like you to be the Good Samaritan in the story. Diana, I'd like you to be a robber in the story. Norman, I'd like you to be the innkeeper in the story.
Who would you like Stephen to be?
Sorry?
Stephen is phoning us online. Who would you like him to be?
Yeah, I know he's behind. I'm going to give him a part. Stephen?
Stephen's online.
Oh, Stephen online.
Yes.
Right, that's going to be awkward for me, but an innkeeper. Sorry, not a robber as well. And the guy behind the desk, would you like to be Jesus, the narrator of this tale? And I'm going to be the man who posed the question to Jesus. So we've all got a part. Poor Stephen, unless you work with him, Louise.
Yes, I'm going to.
Great, brilliant, that's superb. So I'm going to read it again. And I know, I'm sorry about this, it's maybe a little bit tedious for you, but you're now hearing it as a different person to who you were when you first heard it. Okay? So get yourself, your head engaged to who you are, because this will make it really come alive and it's fun. The whole part of this is fun. It's semi-dramatic. We're not acting out on the stage, but it is semi-dramatic. So here I go again. And at the end, I'm going to contemporise the story in broad Geordie. So hey ho, that's just a taster for what's to come. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. Think of the words that I'm saying. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" Jesus replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and love your neighbour as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbour?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going by on the other side, and when he saw the man, he passed by. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw the injured man, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he travelled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him, bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return, I will reimburse you for any expense you may have." Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbour to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." Now, I'm going to be with the guy at the back. You're Jesus, aren't you? And I'm the guy that asked the question. And we're going to share together as the rest of you are. So Louise is going to share with Stephen. I think we're going to have, yes, could you make a threesome? So I'll give us, you've got loads of time to think about it, and to elicit more information. Share first, and then to elicit information, ask more questions. And I'll stop when it's appropriate, and then I'll come back and we'll feed back to the group. Thank you. Who was the robbers in the story? Diane and Stephen. Right, well, if Stephen doesn't mind stepping out from this, if Diana would come up to the lectern with me. And you are 21st century people asking first century. I'm the man, the clever Dick, who asked Jesus the question at the beginning and at the end. Diana's a robber, so you can ask us anything you like for 3 minutes only. Right.
Why did you attempt to test Jesus?
Well, I'd heard a lot about him. Lots of rumours were being spread about this weird man who was going around doing good, healing people, so they said, and he seemed to know the law by the way he tripped up the Pharisees, and he often did. So when I have the opportunity, and I know the law, so I just wanted to see what he would come up with. That's my answer. Any more questions for robbers or the questioner?
Why were you robbing?
Easy pickings. Person on their own, you can't let that chance go, even if they have nothing on them. It's worth trying because, you know, there's more of us than them. You know, we may as well give it a try. And it is really difficult living at the minute. We don't have enough. We just don't have enough. So it's easy to pick on someone who's walking on a road on their own, isolated, for whatever we can get.
Well, I think there's more to it than that. If you and your friends were robbers and you're desperate, and you nearly killed this guy, if you were just mugging them, why didn't you just frighten them and get a little bit of money and leave it at that? Why, you know, I think you know this, the guy that you've beaten up, but with the scenario we went through, that he's a drug dealer, or he could be a drug dealer, and you know he's carrying stuff with him. And he's defended him. He's been told that he's had a night with him, and you've had a battle to.
Well, we'll see what she answers with, shall we?
I'm accusing.
Okay. Well, perhaps you're right that we did know that this person was holding something of value, but even so, even though he was armed, there was one knife against four of us. There was just no chance that he would be able to defend himself, and we didn't want him following him, so of course we beat him up. We don't want him to follow us when we've beaten him up, when we've tried to rob him, so why leave him still able to defend himself? That's just silly.
Stephen has a question. He says, Anna, the robber, please tell us a bit about your background.
Right, okay.
Sorry,
no, it's all right.
no,
no, it's fine. I wish I knew a little bit more about who lived at the time in this area.
Make it up.
Make it up. I have quite a big family, too big for me to support through the small jobs I get. Where else can I turn? There's no extra support, so me and my friends, we just go out every so often and we take what we can. Sometimes that involves beating somebody up to take what they have, even if it's very little. Sometimes we're lucky and it's someone who's got a lot of money, but I don't have enough to feed my family. How else am I supposed to support them?
I have a question, and it's for you, Keith. Okay? Did you feel threatened by how popular Jesus seemed to be becoming?
I certainly did. Threatened in the sense that I wanted to really know what this man was about. He seemed to know the law. He seemed to know the tenets of the law. But I wanted to see what he was like as a person. And as I explained to Jesus, whom I was paired with, throughout the story that Jesus relayed to me, I became increasingly more agitated because he was answering and challenging me. He really challenged who I was, and he brought out in that simple telling of the tale, although it was violent and it was a bit disturbing, he brought out, which was the gist of my second question, who is my neighbour? And I must confess, it has given me food for thought, because I know the law and It's different knowing it to doing it and obeying it and being it. So, yeah, he really challenged me. And he challenged me in the right way, because I did think he was a charlatan and I wanted to prove him wrong. But he blew me away. He blew me out of the water. Right, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Diana. That was fab. I'm going to ask a couple of questions which I don't really want you to answer. I know that sounds a bit strange. I want you to think about it when you go home. What do you think are the main themes inherent in this text? What did you get out of the task that you've just done as a first century person in a different era completely to ours? What was difficult about the task? What did you find difficult? And the last one, how did Jesus sum up the parable? Now, this is where I'm going to contemporize the story, and this will be the final thing. So books away, because it's not written down. And it's in Broad Geordie, so I hope you can understand it. You might get the gist of it, even if you don't. Good morning, folks. Hi. I'm just going to introduce myself first. I'm Yeshua. Anna, it's a funny name. And why my mother Mary gave me that name, I've no idea, but she did. And now we're not today with Jesus and Mary in the New Testament, but she has this fetish about funny names. Well, you can imagine what I went through at school. The kids used to call me all sorts of names. But eventually, because I was a toughie, they called me Yeshi. And I quite liked it. It was certainly better than Yeshua. Nobody had heard of that name at all. Well, sadly, my mother's passed. She left us about 3 years ago. And us is me and Ward Jackie. Now, Ward Jackie is younger than me. He's a lovely little lad. Well, he was a lovely little lad. And he loved football. Oh, it was his dream. All day long. When he wasn't at school, he would go outside and play footy with his friends. Now, he didn't get to, get on a team. He wasn't that good, but he still loved the game, as they say. And he became a Toon Army supporter. You know, the black and whites. And they're playing today, apparently. I bet you didn't know that. Well, they are. Well, the funny thing is, Ward Jackie and his mate were going into Sunderland for a derby game. Now, I don't know if you know anything about derby games, but Sunderland supporters, Mackems, and Toon supporters, Geordies, cannot stand each other. They hate each other. It's just, ugh. And I know, because I've got 2 other brother-in-laws who hate Mackems intensely. Anyway, Ward Jackie wanted to go and support his team with his mates. So they got on the metro, made their way to the match, and you'll never Adam and Eve it. Newcastle Troon, Sunderland, 6-0. Never been heard of. Well, at least I didn't think it has, because I'm not a football fan. Couldn't believe it. Anyway, Ward Jackie decided after the match he was euphoric. He got me on his mobile and he said, "Yeshi, have you heard?" I said, "Yeah, I have." He said, "Well, I'm coming home." He says, "Me mates are having a drink in Sunderland, but I didn't want to do that. I think that'll be trouble." I says, "Wise." I says, "Get yourself home. We didn't want any problems." Well, on the way back, Ward Jackie, nearly made a mistake there, was attacked by a bunch of thugs. Not Sunderland supporters, I might add, because the CCTV showed that up, but he was attacked by a bunch of thugs, and they nearly kicked the living daylights out of him. They robbed him of everything, and they left him with his black and white top on, bleeding to death. Well, a few minutes later, big posh car comes rolling by. And we found that out by the cops looking at it, and it was, you'll never guess, the chairman of Newcastle United. and he waved, knocked on the perspex and waved his chauffeur away. And when the cops said to him, because they had the license plate, "Why did you do that? Why did you leave one of your own supporters lying, bleeding to death?" He said, "Well, we had this big board, director's party. We just won 6-0. What else do you expect me to do?" The police weren't very happy, and I'll tell you, neither was I, as Jackie's brother. And then 5 minutes later, another great big posh car came by. And in that, because of the licence plate, was the Heed coach. And he did exactly the same. Knocked on the perspex and waved the chauffeur, tell him, "Get going, we're not standing round here looking at this bleeding to death guy." And then about 5 minutes later, a Mackem came by. We knew that because he had his red and white strip on. And you know they wave these flags, the boot knew, these quite big flags. Now, he didn't have anything to help me brother with. He had a note on him, need medical supplies, so he wrapped the flag round me brother, and he did an amazing thing. He put me brother on his back. Now, I'm going to let you into a little secret. I love South Korean dramas, and that's what they do in them. If their friends are drunk, pineapple chunkers will say in Geordieland, if they're drunk, they put them on their back and take them home. Equally, if they're injured, they put them on their back and take them to the hospital. So he got down low and he yanked them onto his back and he took them to the hospital. Now, we didn't have any NH hospitals now. It's all privatised. And this Sunderland supporter left his credit card details and he said to the hospital staff, "Whatever this guy needs, charge it to my account." Now, weirdly, the hospital can't divulge, it's not protocol, who the person is. So sadly, Ward, Jackie and me never got to thank this guy. But I'll tell you what, any day I'd have him over those 2 Newcastle nonces who left him to die. Thank you, folks. That's it.
Thank you very much to Jean, and thank you to everybody for joining in so willingly and for getting into the spirit of it. That was wonderful. And thank you, Stephen, for joining in online as well. I will extinguish our chalice, and then I'm going to end with a song by Hot House Flowers called Forgiven. Let me just sort that out. As we leave this space, may we carry a sense of compassion and connectedness to all humanity with us as we enter the world. So be it.